Welcome, everyone. My name is Nicosia, and it is time to start working with our balance, meditate, get grounded, all the good things. So happy Inauguration Day, everyone. So as you come on, go ahead and get comfortable in your seats. We're going to start with a focused meditation together for our time. So beginning to rest into your chair and just giving your body permission, maybe for the first time today, just to slow down. So no matter what your day has looked like, whether you've been busy with work, on Zoom all day, running errands, taking a nice big deep breath in, getting really present right here, right now, exhale. Letting all of that go. And let's go ahead and start with a scan. So let's start at the top of our head, at the crown of our head. And syncing this sweet, curious camera that we're going to take from the crown of our head all the way down through our body to the tips of our toes. Syncing it with our breath and just staying really curious. And the question I want you to drop in as this settles down through your body, as you watch or take in how you're feeling right now, notice places where you feel tense, where you may be holding, or there may be a sense of contracting in your muscles, just along the pathway of your body. And so gently stopping, taking a moment, acknowledging the space with your breath, breathing into it, and then allow that camera, your curious camera, to keep moving down through your body till you reach the bottoms of your feet. So your mind may have an opinion of why something is tense. Just noticing it, taking a breath, letting it go. Good. Awesome. We did it. We slowed down. Which is not always a popular thing to do when you're flipping through Facebook. So congratulations if you made it through that with me. Again, my name's Nicosia, and I am part of Heather Ash's team. I'm one of the mentors in the Warrior Goddess Training Circle. And today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about maintaining your own sense of balance. So the place I want to start with this today is the imagery of a cross. So of two things meeting at a center point, and they you may feel them when you feel into the shape of a cross, that two things may be in opposition of each other. So that's one way to look at it. That two different directions are coming out from a center point, but they meet in the middle somewhere. That's another way to view the energy of the shape of the cross. That when you take in that shape, you may view that there's 4 different segments or spaces that they create. So really just breathing into the energetic of that imagery in your mind. And the place I want to start today is that shape comes from a tool that's really helpful for me. I am an astrologer, and I look at people's birth charts, which is just a tool, and it's an abstraction of the sky, where the planets were in the sky the moment that we were born. And this shape sits at the center of a chart. And what it represents, and this is what I want to talk about today, so we can kind of let go of the idea of astrology or understanding planets. None of that is necessary today. I just want you to kind of hold the imagery of it and then let go of the story around it. That there is a spectrum that our energy runs on. And sometimes it can come to a crossroads where there's an intersection point, and there can be a point of tension for us in our energy. And then sometimes we have like this equilibrium, this flow that we can move between. And I want to do a check-in honoring the four different places that we can do a check-in each day that can help bring us into our own sense of balance. Because ultimately, if we feel into the shape of a square, which is ultimately what it makes, is that each corner is holding its weight, right? And there's a sense of centeredness to it, that each direction within the shape is just kind of held from the center and from the outside. So what usually happens for us and how this relates to our energy is that it's helpful to have these abstractions or these shapes or these ideas in our mind, because they can give us some kind of construct on how to connect to our energy. So when we're not having an internal argument within our mind or in a disaster place with our thinking or in an anxious state, our minds can actually be a profound ally for our life and helping us to connect to our energy more deeply, almost like a buddy system. And I talk about this a lot, and that's why I use guided meditation in a lot of my workshops and trainings and classes, because it's an opportunity for your mind to actually buddy up with your energy and work together as a team. So if we hold this concept of this idea of what it means to be balanced in our life, sometimes we can get ourselves into trouble, because a lot of times what I notice that we end up doing is that we'll have a fantastic day, whatever that may look like for us, which, you know, we could feel joyful, have a lot of energy, feel really buoyant, feel really expressive. It's really easy for us to move through the world the way that we feel or the way we feel inside, and we have a great day. Okay, so period. And then the next day we feel different, or a week later we feel different, and we assume because we feel different that we're doing something wrong. This is normally what happens, and it's not always super on the surface for us. But what ends up happening is we have something that feels good, or we perceive, or an idea in our minds of the way happiness looks, or the way that we're supposed to look moving through the world, or the way that we're supposed to be, and we attach our energy to it and have a comparative experience of that, meaning that we're balanced, harmonious, joyful, happy. When the fact of the matter is, every single day you're going to be different. Every single day is going to be a different experience. And every single day, your sense of balance in the world is going to feel differently. So there's an innate sense of the way we constitutionally came into this world, that's our natural expression. And a lot of things that can happen from day to day can influence that expression. So what I want to do, instead of keeping this as an abstract concept, is I want to actually give you examples of things, questions to ask yourself. We're going to go into a meditation that you can deepen with and just see for yourself what I mean. So first, let's start with, and you might be able to, in your mind's eye, remember a day that you just felt really great. Your body felt great. Your mind felt even keeled. Like just checking in, like, what is the parameter that I have around that and my connection to that, meaning that I'm balanced. Okay. So you can start with the imagery of imagining that great day. That can give you something literal to base this off of. And then you can let that go and then check in. What does being balanced mean for me? So notice if there's any kind of association with it to the great day, which is fine. And then I also want you to notice what actually comes up in your descriptive experience to the word balance. So if we're balanced, if you're balanced, how is that supposed to feel, look, how are you supposed to be in the world? And I would love it if we could use the chat box, because I'd love to hear your shares on that. So first, just knowing what's there. So being balanced for me at this point is I can feel a centered energy within myself, no matter what is happening in my outside world. And it's a point that I can come back to. So coming back to the cross imagery, imagining that there's a dot at the center of it. So checking in and seeing how that feels in your body when I describe that. So imagining yourself having a center point, breathing into it, and then opening just energetically to your sense of balance with that imagery, seeing what your energy does. Good. Okay. And then acknowledging that we're going to run a spectrum. So still holding the cross imagery. So at the dot, the center of you. So imagining a line just like this, a horizontal line that runs from one place to another. So imagining at one end of you, there is a desire to totally be with yourself. So serve yourself, express exactly the way you want to express today. You're totally in your own energy. You could dress up in your room any way you want to, and you're so elated because it's only for you. You're in your own special box and you've got all your favorite books and snacks, and this is just for you. So that kind of energetic, where you are in relationship just to yourself, your own energy, and doing all the things you love to do and be. And just seeing how that feels, like the idea of how that feels in your body today. Okay, one expression. And then if we're following that horizontal line and we go all the way down to this other end, the other expression is, I don't want to be alone. I want to be out in the world. I want to be out in the world. I want to talk to people. I want to see different places. I want to have different interactions. I want to be on the phone for a few hours, or like whatever that is. So that feeling sense or that push in your body where you're like, I want to be in the world. I don't want to be alone right now. I want to be in the world. So whatever the world looks like for you. So imagining that yummy or that juicy pull towards being towards someone else with like your favorite way to connect. So you might love email or texting. You might love talking to them on the phone. Whatever it may be, you get to do that thing. So feeling how you experience that in your body today. Okay, so we have two opposites. And we're giving space to check in with both. So totally need to be alone, express myself the way I love to express. I want to be in the world and I want to play with others. Two really important questions. Okay. Take a breath, shake that off. Move your body. Okay. Come back to that center point. Okay, now we're going to work with a line that's vertical, that's moving up and down this way. And at this end, the question I want you to ask yourself is, how much am I craving being seen in the world? So imagine yourself standing, maybe like climbing up like a sweet, cool ladder or staircase, and you're standing on top of a rooftop or on top of a mountain, like whatever feels yummy. And many, many things can see you. Trees can see you, animals can see you, people can see you. You're on the top of a rooftop. Check in with your body. Ultimate point, how big does my energy want? What's the craving that I have to being seen in the world? See what that's like. Okay. Good. Shake that off. Come back to your center point. We're going to stay on the vertical line. Come down all the way to the bottom. Can't see my finger. Come all the way down to the bottom. The question is, how much do you want to hide and be totally private? So nobody can see me. Okay, so imagining like a cocoon, or you put like a yummy sleeping bag around you that's really fluffy and you can kind of absorb yourself into it. How much am I craving that? Good. Come back to your center point. Take a breath, shake it off. Good. So our overall maintenance and sense of coming into balance within ourselves, one is going to change from day to day. So that would be the first step that I would give yourself complete permission to embrace. Just to allow every day to be different for you. And making one commitment, which is at the start of my day, I'll check in and see where I'm at. So the practice that I just led you through, how much do I want to express in the world? For it to be about my energy, what I want, what I need. Okay, how much do I want to play with others? How much do I want to be seen? And how much do I want to hide? All four of these things live within us. And from day to day, they can vary. And we assume that because we have a level of comfort in one of those energetics, or life may tell us that that's the way you do it in order to be healthy or connected with yourself, that that's the correct way. That's when you're truly in balance. And that's totally false. The truth is, again, every day we change. And sometimes it can be a really courageous practice just to allow yourself to slow down and check in with where your body's at. So the initial scan that we did, and then doing a check-in and just seeing, where's my energy at? And sometimes it's okay if it doesn't always make sense to your brain. I find a lot of times with this practice, when I really can rest into and acknowledge what my energy body needs, it doesn't necessarily matter if I totally get it. My brain totally gets it in that moment. And I know that it matters because I can feel this sense in myself where I have this deep exhale, where my whole body can just relax. And that really is my sense of like a yes, like my yes. So all of us have a different sensory experience around what our intuitive yes feels like in our body. And sometimes we'll hear it audibly. Some of us may see something, like I know people that will connect to their yes intuitively and they'll see a color. Other people will have their bodies relax or open, like they'll have some kind of sensation. So really also tracking that. When you come within yourself to tell yourself the truth about what it is that you need, and listening, and then trusting what that experience is, even if your mind doesn't totally get it in that moment. So bringing ourselves back into balance sometimes is just asking the question and acknowledging what's actually there. So the interesting piece to this is that when I did this check-in, my wanting to hide and cocoon in was really high today. And I'm on a broadcast on YouTube, Heather Ash's pages, on Facebook, right? So there's going to be some days when we do that check-in and we may have commitments or things that are scheduled that are non-negotiable. So let's talk about that. There have been plenty of times where I have stepped forward to teach or lead a group or be in a really seen experience or express and play with other people when I've felt really internal and even some days really shut down. And I can promise you within myself, the thing that created the greatest amount of ease for me to be able to keep that commitment and move forward was I was authentic about where my energy was and where my capacity was in order to do it. So I wasn't extending my energy out. I wasn't making myself run for feeling that way. All of these things can take a tremendous amount of energy away from where we need to focus or bring our attention to, and basically what we've agreed with life to make the commitment to do and move forward. And a lot of times when we feel shut down or energy may be low for the day, especially moving through the world, it can be really helpful just to note that, to soothe yourself in different ways. So for most of today, I have intentionally been alone in my in-between times. So I'm wearing my favorite sweatshirt, which I feel cozy in. Thanks, Mom. She gave it to me for Christmas, right? I have a very weighted a necklace on with a particular stone that helps me feel grounded and held and really contained. And I've made a point not to talk to anyone else up until my commitment to do this call and the other meetings I've had today. So in my in-between time, because I was able to slow down and actually see where my point of balance was for within myself, despite the fact that I had other commitments that might have needed other things, I was able to conserve my energy and stay focused on what it was that I needed. So then you're able to sit down and move forward in the world and go, okay, let's do this. So the other thing is, I didn't come onto the call and you know what, I need to be really extrovert. I need to talk really fast and really big and do a bunch of things and dance around. I have to do it. I have to do it. No. What is most helpful is to come to what the commitment is, meet yourself where you're at, and then stay totally authentic to where you're at. And I found the feedback that I get in those experiences and the alignment I just know in my body is that my teachings also become much more authentic and potent. So playing with that, and I know the concept of that can feel really scary, especially for a lot of us that spend a tremendous amount of our time and our energy out here, right? Because we're meeting people in different ways and we're talking and we want to connect. We want to have relationships with others. All of that is very, very important to us. And however, when we get into a pattern where this is the place where we believe we're the safest and most comfortable in the world, on the days where we really need to nourish our bodies and take care of ourselves, there may be a sense of resentment. I notice that a lot of times when I'm getting irritable, I'm not paying attention to something that's really important to me. And more than likely, I have some kind of thought going on in the background that I'm really beating myself up over. Or, I was noticing in the bathroom when I was getting ready earlier today, I had this sense of irritation in everything I was doing. Well, right now I'm taking care of a limitation in my body. I'm not able to walk on my left foot. And so what's important to do is realize what is it that we actually need and how much energy do we need in order to achieve those things, and just be honest with ourselves. So it's not my preference to spend a tremendous amount of energy walking to the bathroom right now. Like, I wish I could do it faster. I wish I wasn't in pain getting there. Like, my mind could totally go crazy because I've had the grace the majority of my life to be able to move, to go get something to eat when I want to, and not have to slow down, not have to overly cautiously think about it, on and on and on. So what life is inviting me to do right now is to use my energy and reallocate it in a different way. And part of that is being really honest with myself. I need more time to do things. I'm going to also get irritable. This one's really hard for me. I don't always give myself a lot of grace when I get like super angry about something. I'm usually pretty quick to come in and have a sword and try to like, no, Mary, bad girl, right? What normally happens when that happens in my body after years of stalking it is I end up losing even more energy and getting more angry. Or I'll choose a target outside of myself. This person, this thing, right? And it's okay. I've thrown my crutches so many times the last few days, right? So when we bring into awareness, where in that moment, and sometimes it's moment to moment, where do I need to be? How can I help support myself in order to come into my own unique moment and sense of balance right here, right now? How can I do that? And sometimes, so I've been mentioning a lot about going internal. Sometimes it's getting out into the world, like identifying that craving and going for a drive or going for a walk out in nature, whatever it may be. So really connecting to that craving, that desire, and then giving yourself permission to be different and to acknowledge that it's there. All really important sense of balance. So let's go ahead and close our eyes. And just breathe. And we're going to do the practice one more time. And I want you to do a check-in. And so again, and if you're just joining us, I'll go through it again. So there's 4 questions that we're going to ask ourselves to help us bring into a greater state or sense of awareness of where our energy is and where our unique place of being balanced may look like in that moment. So this can be a practice that you do in the morning, in the afternoon. Yeah. Whatever it may be. And it's okay to be somewhere in the middle in between the questions. That's brilliant. Okay, first question is, let's start here. How much am I craving being seen by the world? So imagine yourself standing on top of that rooftop or the top of the mountain. Down to the other end of the spectrum, which is how much do I need to hide? How important it is for me today to have privacy, to not be seen. So following that line of energy, where am I at? And then what are some things that I can do for myself in order to find that point of balance between those two things right now or later today? I'm just checking in. So even if you normally have a favorite on the spectrum that you lean towards, always coming to this question with as much curiosity as you can, because you may be surprised. Okay, doing a check-in. So imagining yourself where you're at, breathing into that, letting that be okay, whatever it is, whatever sweet thing that you can say to yourself to acknowledge that. Good. And so we're going to come to the horizontal line. Where am I feeling that I really am craving expressing my own individuality. So being in my own energy, being in my own expression. So the way I talk, the way I move, the way I dress, the way I love. How does it feel to really center my attention or my focus on that? And then moving to the other end. Where is it really important for me to focus on others? To watch how they express, watch how they move through the world, being in service to them. Where am I craving wanting to be with others or bringing my attention to others? And just letting that be okay. So a lot of times we have tremendous amount of stories around these spectrums. That one way may be better than another way. And the truth is they both live within us and they both exist. And from day to day, you're going to be in relationship to them in a different way. And that's not good, bad, right, or wrong. Because again, the question is, where do I feel that point of centeredness within myself, knowing that these things exist? So always coming back, if you can, to that point. So I love to imagine a center point in my chest, and I imagine it as it having a shape like a superhero. And mine a lot of times is a triangle. So when I want to come back to my center, there's a place where I can ally with my mind, and I actually have an image that helps ground me and reset and get really neutral. Good. So again, these 4 questions, just dropping that in. And I know a lot of times we have in our minds, and I touched on this earlier in the call today, is we have this expectation that we're always going to be able to come back to that center point. And that's not true, so just let that go. Right? Or it's always going to look like I'm totally smooth in the world. I'm super cool. Everyone's always happy and satisfied with me. No one's ever angry at me. I'm never angry or upset. I don't have any emotion. So like whatever it is, and I do it in a sarcastic, funny voice because I find, and I learned this through Heather Ash, that comedy is very helpful along this path, that this work transformation does not always have to be quite so serious. So keeping a sense of humor and of lightness with yourself and knowing that we are all in this together, that we're all at different points along this spectrum and having different needs and expectations and dreams. And just breathing. Here we are. I love doing this talk today because astrologically, we've been working with a lot of squares. So a 90-degree angle in aspects that just generally affect the energy of our lives. And usually when something is at a point of tension, and I teach this to my students, it may feel really uncomfortable when 2 forces coming from different directions meet, which is the 90-degree angle. And what the truth is although they're taking two entirely different directions, they're meeting at the same point. They're both trying to the same point. So I want to invite you, the next time you're having the experience, either within yourself or within your world where there is a disagreement, just imagining that imagery again, right? So we imagine the lines going this way, of a horizontal line and a vertical line and a point at the center. If you break that down, there's 90-degree angles through the imagery, and they're all coming to the same point of contact. So the question would be, when I'm having a moment of conflict or tension with someone, or even within myself, where can I trust that although there are two different experiences happening, we're eventually meeting at the same point? And you don't have to know what that is. See if it's helpful even to let go of that story, that description of it, and just feel that in your body. Because a lot of times needs happen that way within us and happen that way within our world. Heather Ash is incredible at teaching intent work. Another word for intent is goal. And what this does for the body, for the being, is it gives us a place to focus when we are really clear. So she has a lot of practices and tools that help you to move in and dive more deeply into yourself to figure out, okay, what is that sweet center point of focus? What does that feel like in my body? What are ways that I can always come back to that? What are strategies or techniques or tools? And then allowing that point of focus to ground you, even when it may feel like nothing is grounding. So that's another brilliant lesson I've learned from her. And community. So having people, especially in those moments where you're craving wanting to be seen and wanting to connect, the like-mindedness and connection that we have with each other really helps us root and deepen in ways. And then there's other times we're going to crave people that think much more differently than us, or experiences that are much different than we've ever perceived or thought were possible. And both are really imperative for our growth. So just checking in with that around any resistance towards that, and honoring the places where maybe right now we all need a little bit of soothing and connection. So community has also been a really important piece for me in working with these different types of energy of tension, and really coming back home to myself and having success from my perspective with my intent work and the ways that I believe and feel and love to be in balance with myself. So, and the Warrior Goddess Training Circle really does that. So I feel really honored to be one of the mentors with Adele, Serena, and Tara, to have that container to be able to teach in, to work with women, and then to be able to witness all the magic that happens within myself sharing, and then what happens within that community of how we're able to really support and hold the container for one another and witness each other. So really, really lucky for that. Good. Oh, balance. So I really want to thank all of you for joining me today. And again, happy Inauguration Day. We do love streaming fairly frequently. And Heather Ash and I started the love streaming back. The first week things started getting shut down with COVID. When they first started getting word, and businesses in our lives started to change radically. And so our response to it was, let's go on Facebook 24 hours a day and meditate with everybody and laugh with them and talk about ways to support our immune system. I did some of those classes. I used to be an acupuncturist. So the love streaming lives on. So I hope in some way, something I shared today it resonated for you in a way that lights you up or inspires you, and however that may look, towards feeling centered and balanced in the unique expression of who you are and the way that feels to you. So, all right. Thank you. I'm going to look at the chat box. Emma says, just joined 2 seconds. Okay, before, that's okay. I get so angry with the past. I know. Emma, I feel you. What it is, so I was also reflecting on this today. I will have an experience and be like totally centered around it and present and go, okay, and let it go. And then if I am not mindful about what my mind is doing, I will recreate the event and have this whole emotional experience around it and go, whoa, wait, number one, that's not actually what happened in the moment. Number two, I don't really believe what my mind is doing right now. Number three, what is my energy needing right now? So there's a lot of intensity in our world, and a lot of times we may feel a buzzing around us, and our mind will start to attach to it and then create some kind of bizarre story, and we both start resonating at kind of an anxious level. So just being really mindful, again, with those check-ins that I mentioned, of bringing yourself back to the present moment and what's true, what's actually true. So yeah, Emma, thanks. Patricia, you're so welcome. Great, great. So any last questions before I sign off? Yeah, and just leaving you with this, please give yourself total permission to be inspired by your life, and that the things that you desire and you love, that those are important. So please offer yourself a generous helping of whatever that is. A lot of times we believe we can't have that, desires are wrong. Not true. Desire in various forms can help us stay focused and connected to our lives and present. So please be sure to not use the things, do your very best to use the things that you love the most against yourself. So, all right, I'm leaving you with that. So I will see you soon. And Serena will be up a little bit later doing, I believe, the closing prayer circle for tonight. I believe that's at 7 p.m. Central. You want to check back in here on Facebook for our love streaming today. And Heather Ash actually might be coming on before that. Wait for it. Wait for it. Mary's getting her calendar. And no. So Serena will be back on for a prayer circle at 7 p.m. Central. So you can join her for that. Okay. Love you. Bye.